We are back. What a big week we got in store. A lot of things going on right now, and we're going to have a huge guest on the show in a few minutes from now. We're jacked up about that. And Final Four here for both the women's and the men. We got baseball first week under the belt. The NBA's about a week left. Hockey coming down to the end. And, of course, I'm joined by the one and only, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the big kahuna of OSB Sports, Tommy D. What's up, Tommy?
Hey, busy week, like you said. It's coming down to the Final Four, and two biggest spreads, I think, in history for these two teams, favorites.
How about the women stealing the spotlight from the men? It's pretty crazy because, you know, the problem, like you said, these games are such favorites. Purdue, the number one seed, double-digit favorite. Connecticut, the number one seed, 12-point favorite. So a lot of tension's been going to the women's game as well. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've been talking about this all year. A lot of women are coming into this space now. So I think it's all tied in, basically.
That's a good point. That's a good point because there's a lot more female gamblers out there nowadays. You know, with the legalization,
100%.
We've noticed it tremendously through our business, and you know, it's exciting. I'll tell you what, this time of the year, and we got a huge guest on the show. You know, we talked about getting really good guests on the show, but we got a major guest on the show, and he's down in São Paulo, Brazil. This is the CEO. Not to, you know, call you the big kahuna, but this is the big kahuna of the Pillow Fighting Championship, and it's Steve Williams, and we want to bring him on the show. Steve, how's it going down there in Brazil?
Hey, it's great. It's great. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's exciting to be on, and you guys are a huge, important part of our future at PFC. You weren't wrong about saying I'm a huge star because I'm 250 pounds of pillow stuffing.
There you go.
That's my whole life now. So
hey, listen,
want to get that in there.
Wow.
There you go.
All about pillow fighting.
Is that the official pillow that they use in all the matches?
Yeah, this is the official one. It's 2 pounds. It's got the 3 straps. You have to hold all 3.
Right.
It gives you more control, and it keeps the handles from breaking off because centrifugal force can really rip these things apart. So that's part of our patent pending design.
Right.
And that's what makes it special. The multicolored, 2-pound pillow flying around at 150 miles an hour hitting your head makes quite a pop when it hits, and it really adds to the excitement.
Yeah, we checked it out. We were out in Vegas, and we had a sample of one of the pillows. It's pretty cool, actually. Listen, I know you're down there in Brazil for a major fight card this weekend. I want you to tell our viewers all about it. We want to get a little knowledge of the game that you create. Are you basically the only game in town, the PFC in that league?
We're the only game in town. We actually filed a worldwide trademark on the modality. In Brazil, it's actually special because we created a sports federation for the state of Sao Paulo was the first one. We have to wait 2 years to file for the confederation, which is the federal national sports league.
Okay.
But it'll start here in Sao Paulo, which is where 70% of the economy is right here in about a 10 square mile area. And so you've got about 40 million people here. It's just a massive market. And if you look around, a lot of I'll say about a third of the MMA fighters in the world are all coming out of Brazil. They're not only they're fighters, but then they move on to being trainers, and they spread out all around the world and train everyone else. So Brazil is a powerhouse for MMA and combat sports in general.
So if you could just give us a little, gauge of how this all works. It's how many fights will you have on the card, and how many rounds? Different things about it, so we could let the audience know a little bit and educate them.
Sure. Yeah, this particular event is really interesting. So this is the Arnold Sports Festival. That's at the Expo Center North here, which is a huge, convention center. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger's event. It's been going on. I think this is the 10th year.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular event on Friday, it's actually going to we have PFC Kids. We have fights for kids. Kids fight for fun, and the pros fight for the money. That's kind of our tagline. The kids are actually fighting in the school system. That was part of the creation of the federation. The schools have picked it up. There's pillow fights going on weekly in the school system with kids. The kids use a 1 pound pillow with 2 straps, and the adults use the 2 pound pillow with the 3 straps. The event on Saturday is the preliminaries for the Sunday championship. And
Okay.
so we really have 3 days of pillow fighting. We've got 15 kids on Friday, and then we've got 35 pros that'll be fighting Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
So it's like an elimination or something to get to the finals? Is
Yeah.
that how it works?
Yeah, yeah, it's like a bracket. The cool thing is you unlike any other combat sport, you could fight multiple times in a day. You could fight the next day and the next day. I mean, you don't get hurt. It stings. It stings a little bit, but it goes away immediately. And it actually, there's something about it has a bit of a therapeutic effect. Getting whacked in the head with a pillow, it just does something to you. It's kind of like an endorphin
A
release.
little
or
daze,
something.
maybe? You get a little daze from it or something like that?
Yeah, it's a little magical thing. This thing's going 150 miles an hour and it hits your head, and then it
Wow.
feels good. So it's weird.
You got a question, Tommy?
Well, I was going to say the ex-wife has hit me in the past with more than that, but that's for another story.
Oh, that was a knockout. That wasn't a
Yeah.
daze, though.
Yeah, she knocked me out all
Yeah.
right. But
Yeah.
are there purses, Steve? Like the
He's-
one that wins this whole round, what type of money are we talking?
Yeah, it depends on the event. Like we just had the ESPN event where we gave $10,000 to the to the 2 winners. This event is in reais, and the currency is basically 1 for 5, so it's a little cheaper to actually do the events here.
Okay.
I think this event we're going to be giving away 10,000 reais, which is about $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
To the winner, and the belt, and the fame. By the way, the media shows up. I mean, this will be carried on Global Sports. And Global Sports is the #1 network for sports in Brazil, and it's a big deal. We've got not only Global, but SBT is also showing up. They're the #2 network.
Let me ask you,
so
is this, so go ahead, Tommy.
No, I was just going to, not to jump ahead, but when is the next fights in the U.S.?
Yeah, we've got. Well, actually, right now we're kind of focusing on international.
Right, that's
We just signed up India. We signed with the WBC operator licensee in India, which is a really big deal. We signed 2 months ago. We signed Nigeria. A year ago, we signed Ghana. And about a year and a half ago, we signed Brazil. So Brazil is the most developed foreign market. But we believe India is just going to be massive. I mean, it's pillow fighting. We believe in India is probably gonna be close to cricket at some point, because everybody's done it there. They all grow up pillow fighting, and they do it with their cousins and their brothers, and it's a big deal when they're growing up. So the people, they like it. It does something. It's got some magic to it that no other sport has, because it's like the first sport you ever played. It wasn't a sport. It was like a playtime, but you didn't realize now it's going to be a sport.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So-
When you were a kid, you used to take it out on friends or your brother, your sister. You slap them over the head with the
Sure.
pillows.
Yeah.
Now you're turning
Yeah.
it into a league, which is pretty cool. I mean, I'm rooting for you on that one. I really think that could be interesting. Let me ask you, how long ago did you start this? The pillow fighting championship. How long has it been out there for?
It's been about 2.5 years, so it's been absolutely explosive growth, almost 100% organic. We've got a little over $1.2 million into it in cash, and $5 million worth of effort with our team. But we basically created an international brand, and $1 million, and it's expanding very rapidly. So, we're selling our pillows, we're shipping them out around the world, and these gyms and MMA clubs are picking it up, and they're putting the fights in the middle of their MMA fights, and so the organic aspect of the sport, we don't have what UFC had. We don't have a billionaire in our back pocket that not yet anyway.
Right.
But we've got a lot of people helping, and a lot of people who love the sport, and so with the whole CTE, the anti-CTE effort, and a little bit of let's say the decline of boxing with some of the less than quality fights, the PFC is a really exciting thing to watch, and it's just so different that it just kind of freaks people out.
So is your end goal like to get these like to like divisions, like a heavyweight division, different weight classes, and really try to get some key names behind it, obviously, so you can have some really high-end type of fights and get, the popularity. Obviously people want to see the big names and get, whether it's pillow fighting, boxing, UFC, whatever the case may be, the people want to see the big names going at it. Is that the end
That's
goal
right.
to really build it up that way?
That's actually one of the goals, and it's absolutely sort of the spearhead of the goal. I mean, we've already got like a Hector Lombard is waiting for a big fight.
Against Tommy D? Tommy D? You want to put him against Tommy D?
I think I should start a little lower than that.
He's a local. He's a local guy.
Yeah, he's in Boca. Yeah, they're based in
Yeah,
Boca.
he's in Boca.
Yeah.
We've got Estela Nunez is the UFC fighter. She's our female champ. We've got five other UFC fighters that are fighting for us. So we could go across sports. It doesn't matter. You could be the world's champion. I don't know. I guess at some point we'll do a sumo wrestler. But the heavier guys are actually not as exciting to watch than the straw weights, the flyweights, the middleweights.
Yeah, because they can move around, I'm sure, a lot better. They move around and jump around more so than these big guys. They can't get off their feet, probably.
They can't get off and they get tired. And pillow fighting is actually more strenuous from a cardio standpoint than MMA or jiu-jitsu. I mean, our rounds are only 90 seconds long, and the fighters can barely make it 90 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Rounds.
Is that what it is, 390?
Yeah.
Okay.
Three 90-second rounds. MMA and boxing are 5 minutes.
And who makes the determination? You have judges, I assume, that make the final call who won based on points?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's based on points. 1 point for a 180 to the head. If you do a 360 to the head, it's 3 points. If you
that might be you, T.
hit if you hit the back of their knee.
We'll get them a 360 to the head.
All right.
Yeah. That's
if you hit the back of the knee and create an imbalanced situation, that's 1 point. And if you take their legs out where they fall on the ground, then it's 5 points.
Wow.
And it's it's pretty easy to score it. And we're also looking forward to having some real time scoring on the screen with some technology to make sure everybody can follow the score as it happens.
Yeah, no, listen, I've watched some of them, since we got in touch with you. I've watched some of the stuff. It's pretty cool. I actually saw that 17-year-old kid who was phenomenal. I mean, his footwork and stuff, beating up a guy like 36 years old that was much bigger than him. But it just shows you when you have the talent and you can move around, you could take down pretty much anybody.
The kids are unbelievable. And like I say, it's about strike force. It's not about, your poundage. And in that case, Justin, who's an MMA fighter, he's also a semi-pro football player.
Okay.
And luckily, he's a great guy. He's taken a couple of beatings, and he hasn't quite got it yet. But to see a 17-year-old kid beat the crap out of him is just amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I was actually watching. I actually got into it. I was watching because he had some unbelievable footwork. So also, obviously, another thing I'm sure you're working on would be obviously trying to get a TV network or some type of TV deal, which would take it to the next level altogether. I would assume, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we need a network deal where we need at least a monthly series of fights. Where we can either studio fights or eventually out on the road. And casinos is another aspect that we want to focus on because obviously the wagering market with the sponsorships, that's really important. We can bring in past, present, and future MMA fighters. The famous guys will get in the ring on a pillow fight.
Mm-hmm.
They may not want to get hit in the head anymore. On a regular MMA fight, but they'll get in the ring, like I said, Hector, and then we've got some other big guys. We've got fighters from BKFC. We've got even slap fighters, power slap guys.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a rough sport, I'll tell you. Yeah.
That's what I was going to bring up.
By the way, this is Teddy Brooks. He's our co-host with us.
Nice to meet you. I was running a little bit late. I was going to bring up slap fighting, and obviously there's a $1 billion guy behind that and a $1 billion operation behind that. But what really gave them their claim to fame are just these short form content videos on YouTube and Instagram where people just, a 10-second video of some guy getting slapped and knocked out, and it really,
I mean,
it
literally
really
knocked
took
out.
that league
Yeah.
to the next level. So I think the fact that you're launching this in the age of short form social media content is really good timing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we see that as well with our short clips. I mean, the big hit clips are what everyone wants. We've got a couple of clips out there that had over 100 million. And then we've got one out there now that we just released about 2 weeks ago that's up to about 12 million.
Wow.
So, I mean, we've got a couple of sponsors, but we don't have big money behind us. We don't have Fertitta, stoking the fire.
Not yet.
And,
Not yet. You never know, though.
but it could be, I mean, we always thought we fit right in between, Power Slap. We're on the total opposite side of Power Slap, but we fit right in between UFC and WWE. That's where we kind of see ourselves, because we could be fast and loose and fun, but it's still a hardcore fight. And you see the competitive nature of the fighters. They want to win. They want to win that money, and they want to beat the crap out of each other. And you have to have that attitude if you want to win.
Let me ask you, how many events a year do you do roughly? Are they monthly? Are they, how many main events do you do a year?
Yeah, we're doing about 4 main events in the U.S. And then there's 2 in Brazil.
Okay.
There's going to be more in Brazil. The main events,
Is
like
this
we did
the big
Mr.
one? Is this like a real big event for you? This weekend for you to be there? I'm sure it must be.
Yeah, this is the big one for us for Brazil. We did it last year. We did Mr. Olympia last year. We did it the year before, and they're getting bigger and bigger. Next year it'll probably be a pay-per-view. And then we've got another deal that we're working on with a company called Versus, where it's an MMA club. We're going to be putting our fights inside their in their MMA events. So it'll be a mixed, little bit of a mixed show. We might be the halftime show with 2 or 3 fights.
Right.
Our fights last 5 minutes. We're in and out. Good entertainment.
How many fights
you'll be able to
normally?
wager.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. How many fights normally on a card, like per event? How many do you have?
Yeah, like the ESPN event, we actually did 15. We did 12 fights in an hour.
Okay.
It's just intense.
It's fast. It's fast.
It's fast, yeah. And so it's a great show. We're in, we're out, and it's done. This event on the Arnold is going to be, 5 hours a day of pillow fighting. There's going to be a lot of fights.
I'm just curious because I mentioned to you off camera, off set, that I have a very good friend of mine that's like the main guy for the Arnold. Are you guys like following the Arnold? It seems like you're doing things around the Arnold events. Is that what you're doing right now?
Yeah, we just did Arnold in the main one in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
We were actually at the Guns and Hoses event, and then here we've got our own our own venue. We've got our own boxing ring, and we've got our sponsors and everything. We've got our own our media team, and so this will be an interesting event compared to what we did last year, which was a little bit more low end.
What do you think the turnout on this event will be? You expecting a lot of people, or
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like 70,000 people that are going to come through there. So I mean, the exposure for what for who shows up to see it is one thing, but then the social media aspect, like for example, Arnold South America on Instagram, you could look at Arnold South America. There's a clip on the Reels they just posted yesterday, and it's already got 170,000 views.
Wow.
Excellent.
And it's one of their top videos. I mean, and Arnold is mostly, bodybuilding. We come in with pillow fighting, and all of a sudden we've got one of the top videos on the whole channel.
Nice. Well, listen, we really appreciate it. I know you're busy. You got a main event going on down there, and we really, really appreciate the time you've given us to let our audience know a little bit about it. Guys, check this out. It's really interesting. I've watched some of these fights on YouTube and on their channel. Steve, what I want you to do is I want you to give our audience the ways that the people can see what's going on and watch the future growth of the PFC, which is the Pillow Fighting Championship.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's it's at Fight PFC, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, at Fight PFC. And or their website is www.fightpfc.com.
Man, I'll tell you, I wish you nothing but the best. I hope you guys have a success. Hold on, Tommy, I think wants to ask you something.
And I wanted to just do a quick shout out to
yeah.
a mutual friend of ours in Vegas, Stephen Crystal at the SCCG Management. I know he's involved with you somehow. He's a real great guy.
Yes, we had a pleasure.
Yes.
We had a pleasure of meeting him in Vegas a few weeks ago, and he gave us a thumbs up about your organization. So we're glad we got you on. You're right here in the backyard. You could probably walk to our studio from where your offices are. So anytime you want to have,
I plan on it.
anytime you want to have some lunch, you just come on over, and we love to take you out. But great luck with the show this week. We wish you nothing but the best. And we hope to bring you back on, if we don't mind, when you start getting some things going on. We'd like to get updated by you. If you could come back on the show, that would be great. We'd love to have you on.
Yeah, anytime, guys. I really appreciate the help, and thanks so much for having me on.
No problem.
Good luck, Steve.
Good luck, Steve.
Okay.
All right. Interesting. I'll tell you, we get some wild guests on the show.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty
Pillow
cool
fighting.
stuff.
What do you think, Teddy?
I think it's great. I'm excited to see it on social media. I haven't seen it. I mean, I see that slap stuff all the time. I've never really seen the pillow fighting, so hopefully I see it soon.
I don't know. I think of pillow fighting when I was a kid, but, hey, listen, if they could turn it into a sport, but there's a lot of things, that changed over the years. But this could take off. You never know, right?
It's different, and what the good thing about this is that these are athletes that are doing this show here, UFC and MMA guys.
Yeah, well, that's I think their end goal, to be honest. I think they're looking to bring named people on, and once you get named people on and you get the support of that, then things can really take off. So that's going to be, I think, their goal at the end of the day is to, get these big names, put these matches together, and then they're going to get a lot of buzz. But hey, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of buzz going on right here.
A lot of buzz. Can you guys hear me good? You can hear me clear? Okay.
Perfect.
I hear you great. We're down to the Final Four in both women's and men's. We got two UConn teams, and women's is in there and in the men's still. And we got baseball just completed their first week. We're down to the last week or so of the NBA, and we're getting down to the end in hockey before the playoffs start. Great time of the year.
Getting down to the end in both sports. I just wanted to interject if this is breaking news. Stephon Diggs, by the time this gets aired, people will probably know this, but Stephon Diggs being traded
Oh, he did?
to the Houston Texans. So,
Nice.
So
Stroud's
Stroud's going to have another weapon.
Yeah.
Lot of moves in the NFL.
They're going to be
before the
stacked
draft.
up.
There is no off time in the NFL, guys, anymore. I mean, since the Super Bowl ended, all these moves, all these different things going on. The NFL's like a 12-month a year.
12-month a year. You got the draft coming up. Have you guys been paying attention to the UFL at all? I haven't really paid much attention to it.
I
have
was too
a lot.
busy with all these other sports going on.
Exactly. It's like March Madness. You got to focus on the college basketball. But I've been getting a lot of messages and comments on my
they're asking already?
UFL question mark. What do you got for UFL? Do you got any UFL? So I'm getting a lot of people asking me for UFL, so we might have to start digging into it. I don't know. We got to look at it. Maybe. We'll see.
A lot of sharp guys are betting that stuff. Let me tell you, from my sources telling me there's a lot of opportunity there.
And nobody has better sharps than the sharps.
Well, I'm just letting you know, that's where they really feast these people, because they just look at these numbers and it's a new league, new players. But yeah, I think it's going to definitely pop.
Cool.
Well, I'll tell you, last week we started out our March Madness picks. I went a perfect 3-0 right here on the show. Everything I put out worked out. I think you were pretty solid, right?
I was my main two plays were 1-1. My big loss was Marquette. Boy, oh boy, NC State came in and just surprised everyone.
Yeah, NC State, they're in the Final Four, believe it or not, huh?
They got that big guy. He's like
He's
300
good,
pounds, and he is good.
He's
he was
a
a
load.
leading scorer. Riggs Jr., he was a leading
You see
scorer.
his father? His father's a big boy.
No,
in
I
the
didn't
crowd.
see that.
Oh, yeah, his father's a big boy, too. Yeah, no, I'll tell you, we got two interesting matchups. The number one seeds, they're both double-digit favorites. My picks to beginning, I really liked UConn to win it all.
At the beginning of the year, we got to give you your props, Scotty. Kind of like the way I predicted the Rangers early on, the Texas Rangers,
yeah.
last baseball season. You came in months ago and you said there's two teams, UConn and Purdue. You
Yeah.
said besides those two, I don't see anyone else taking
Yeah,
it.
they were just the most consistent, other than Houston, obviously. But I didn't like Houston. They find ways to not be there. But teams like UConn, with
No, you
Dan
were on
Earl-
UConn and Purdue all year.
I think that's it just looks like the making of
Hopefully you place some future bets on them.
that. Well, I don't do futures, but I should have in this case because I'd probably be in a great spot. Anything going on with you with the March Madness?
Well, I'm heading out to Sin City tomorrow night.
That's right.
Yep, I'll be back there again, and I'm going out there for the Final Four. I'm going to try to redeem myself. It's been a little slow for the Big Kahuna, but I think I'm going to finish off strong. We'll give out some picks in a second. But, yeah, I'll be out there all weekend, and I'll be doing some broadcasting out there. I'm just looking forward to it overall.
Any thoughts on the first week of baseball? And we got the worst team in baseball right in our backyard here, 0-6 right now, the beautiful Miami Marlins. We got 3 teams undefeated so far left. Anything you seeing unusual? I mean, it's only the first week, obviously. Anything sticking out to you as like a team that might be a team to run with?
In general, the AL East, like the Yankees. I mean, I know they're the Yankees, but I'm actually pretty surprised that they're 5-1 right now.
They swept Houston.
Swept Houston, and I actually was wrong. I made a big bet on Houston
on the final game.
No, it was the third of the fourth game. Okay. I made a big bet on them. Dropped that one. Houston's 1-5. That's a little bit of a surprise right there. Everything else.
How about my Miracle Mets?
Hofa.
That game got postponed last night,
Yeah,
right?
They're playing the Tigers, one of the only undefeated teams.
The owner, Stevie Cohen, that guy's he's going to be looking to take some heads out, man. He's put a lot of money into that team, and
but they were saying that so long. I mean,
we were talking about the same thing last year. We were saying
who's going to fire
the Mets were a disaster,
right?
And there's still and nothing has changed.
Closed door meetings, throwing garbage cans. What's going on there? Nothing seems to be happening right there.
I think it's a little too early for anything to be a surprise or not a surprise. Like a big story last year was the way the Tampa Bay Rays started out. I think they won like 20 of their first 25 games or something crazy like that.
Yeah, they were hot.
So let's give it a couple weeks, but I think we are talking about how to bet baseball today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
right. You wanted to talk about that.
One thing I want to, because I'm getting DMs every day, Tommy, I don't understand. Well, let me say one thing, ladies and gentlemen, and it's okay if you don't understand. There's no point spread in baseball. The most popular way to bet a baseball game is on the money line. And all you have to do to win your bet when you bet a money line is to win the game. Even if it goes into extra innings, you win by 1, you win your bet. Problem with money line, you got to stay away from the high-price favorites. If you're going to start betting 190s, minus 200, you're going to have a short season. So you got to look for value. A lot of underdogs do come through. Teddy's is an expert in baseball, so I'll let him take over. But no point spread in baseball.
But explain to them why the prices are, because of they come out with the price. The money line could be minus 200 because of the pitching matchup.
It's generally pitching that's going to dictate the money line. Right. But don't get sucked in when you see a 2-1 favorite, because many 2-1 favorites go south.
Only like 54, 55% of 2-1 favorites win.
My philosophy in baseball for years. If you have a phenomenal season, guys, think about it. It's 162 games. Let's say you win 100, which is considered phenomenal, right? A good year.
For a team to win 100 games, right. Yeah.
And you're favored in a lot of those games, you're not going to make much money betting that team.
Right.
Because they're going to lose 60, 62, whatever. You won 100, but you might be laying on average 150 a game.
You're going to be laying on
so you're going to bet 162
top
games
5,
to maybe make
if you're betting
$8 or $9
a top 5 team in baseball, you're going to be laying big money. Here's what I'm going to say about baseball. Yeah, I agree with you, Tommy. You got to stay away from the 2-1 favorites.
Yeah.
What I want to say about baseball is it's changed. Okay, 10 years ago, really all you had to do was look at pitching matchups. You could really make money just looking at pitching matchups. Now, the league does not favor starting pitching as much. Starting pitching is still very important. Still probably the most important thing, but you can't put as much weight on it. The pitchers don't pitch as long.
Right.
They're getting pulled after 4 or 5 innings sometimes now.
Yeah, they got reliever.
A lot more relief pitching.
Right.
A lot more rules that favor hitters. So hitting is very important now. So what I'm kind of transitioning to in my business is trying to identify the hotter bats and pairing that obviously with the pitching matchups, but looking a little bit more at the bullpens and the bats, because I used to just strictly make money on starting pitching 10 years ago, and today you really can't do that.
You know what I think you could sorry, but
Go ahead.
You know what I think you can make some really good money in right now is totals in baseball. Because some of these teams, like you say, their pitching hasn't come together yet, and they're allowing a lot of runs. So I think you could find totals, a lot of totals. Like I see a lot of high-scoring games and things like that. So if you follow certain teams and you see their starting pitches are off, and they're hitting the ball and things like that against their opponents, whether they're hitting or not hitting, you could cash in. I've done well so far. I've had, knock on wood, I've played 2 totals in baseball, and I've been fortunate to win them both. But I think you can make some good money in totals right now early in the season
Definitely.
for baseball.
And of course, prop betting in baseball has become very popular. Total bases.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and let me just quickly go over that. Most of the lines are going to be 1.5, and the player has to get more than 1.5 hits. But if you get a double, that counts
That's
as
it.
2.
That's
a
it.
home
You're a
run,
winner.
4. So total, you get a hot hitter. A couple years ago, Aaron Judge, I was riding him the whole season. This guy was getting 2-3 hits
Yeah,
a day.
yeah.
It was printing money, basically.
He was hitting home runs like crazy
Yeah,
at
it
one
was
point.
it was easy money. Some books actually took those props off the board. They were getting crushed.
I think him and Otani, I mentioned it to you guys before, I think, but they're both playing, obviously. They're both in the starting lineups. I'm just curious at this point, Otani and Judge, who do you think's going to have more home runs this year? Because they're both playing all year. Right now, they're both on the lineups playing. I don't think they've done much as of yet, right? Home run-wise? Either one of them?
No.
Otani got a little weight on his shoulders.
I was going
there.
to say, man.
I was going to say, if he stays in the league, right?
No, he's going to stay.
It's
think so?
Yeah.
So that interview dropped right after we got off the air last
Yeah,
week,
right after.
and
It was interesting, wasn't it?
Pete
There's still
Rose
talk.
came out.
There are people looking to take him out, man. They're still saying this guy is not innocent. He was involved in it. So let's see what happens. Manfred is probably not going to want this thing to blow up in his face.
Yeah,
So who knows what's going to happen?
I think I have a great idea. Change the rules before Manfred comes in. Here's what I would do. Manfred comes in and says it's okay to bet on sports as long as you're not betting on the MLB.
Be the worst thing he could do, but I mean,
I think all leagues should do it. I think the demonization of sports betting, I was just talking about this with a friend of mine, it's starting to make me sick. The demonization of sports betting is getting out of control. Now, what I will say about betting home runs, Judge versus Otani, is Otani has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. So I wouldn't want to bet
Has
anything.
Judge hit a home run yet or no?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
And Otani, has he had one?
I don't think
No?
so.
Yeah.
We would be hearing about it.
Yeah.
You'd be hearing about it. But the Yankees are killing it right now.
Oh, they're playing good ball.
Playing very good baseball.
5-1 to start off. They don't have the greatest pitching staff, but it seems like their pitching staff is, done fairly well the first. Again, we're only talking, guys, 6 games into a 162-game season. So
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Cole.
how about the 3 teams that are undefeated? If you would have said this to you, there's no way you would have thought Pittsburgh Pirates, guys, the best record
Never.
in baseball, 5-0. Detroit Tigers got rained out last night, 4-0. And Milwaukee Brewers, who's, pretty solid team, got good starting pitching, good hitting, 4-0.
The Brewers, historically, for the last few years, have been one of my favorite teams to bet because they're one of those
I
teams.
love Yelich.
They're one of those
They're
teams where they can kind of fly under the radar as far as juice goes. They're not super juiced up on a lot of their games. You can get good lines on the Brewers. Unless they catch a hot streak, then the
Yeah.
odds makers will start boosting the juice up. But they always seem to get a little bit disrespected early on, and you can get good lines on them.
a lot of people are trashing the Oakland A's. Will they win 50 games this year? Over, under? What do you think?
I think they'll get 50.
They're getting boycotted. The fans are standing
there.
outside of the
10,000
stadium.
people showed up opening day.
They're
It's,
trying to do something, though, to keep them there, right? I don't know if that's going to happen.
That's a
but
dying market. That they got to go somewhere.
I don't know if they're trying to keep him in there, but like in that area, the Bay Area.
They are, and then certain people want them in Vegas. So
Yeah. Well, Vegas is building a baseball stadium, right?
Well, so
We-
I mean,
that's what
I've
they
been
said
doing
to
a
us.
little
They were
research.
knocking down this-
Some are saying that's not going to happen.
Oh, now it's not.
Some are saying the Tropicana, which was an icon, closed yesterday. I actually have stayed there in the day. Some are saying that's just going to be another mega resort. They're not going to build that stadium. So nothing's 100% here. That's valuable property, right? And you come from the airport. That is right smack of the head of the
Yeah.
strip.
Yeah, it's right
I
there.
mean, to put a stadium there, I mean, you're talking
Traffic nightmare.
Oh, forget about it. And will it work? I mean, but
Oh, it'll work. They'll make it work. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, they're making it work now. You got
they made
T-Mobile.
hockey work.
Right.
Yeah.
They're making
Hockey's big
football
time.
work. Obviously, a little bit easier than hockey, but if you can make hockey, in my opinion, if you can make hockey work in the United States, you can make, especially in the desert. This isn't a hockey town.
we were at a game recently.
You can make baseball work.
Pretty wild show they put on there.
Those Golden
Oh, yeah.
Knights games get packed
Yeah.
every single game, and they
Oh,
get
yeah.
crazy.
Really
big,
crazy. Yeah.
strong
Yeah.
fan base, and they're a new team, so that's pretty cool.
Since day one.
I want to talk about something, which is we didn't bring it up yet: run lines
Oh,
in
yeah.
baseball.
Go right ahead.
So, guys, run lines in baseball, you're either going to bet +1.5, which means that team has to lose by less than 2 runs. So they can either win the game or they can lose by 1. And then you can bet -1.5, which means the team has to win by 2 or more. One thing I will tell you, and one thing that I like to follow very strongly, you gotta really look at the numbers. This is where Scotty always talks about the numbers. Let's say you got a team that's -150 on the spread, on the money line. I'm sorry, and they're at home. The -1.5 on the run line might be +130. But if that same team is -150 but they're away, you're going to have a better chance of hitting the run line. The reason why is because in baseball, that bottom of the 9th inning, the home team, if they're up by 1 run going into that bottom of the 9th, there is no bottom
they
of
don't
the
come
9th.
up.
They
come
don't
up.
bat. So your away teams are always, for the most part, unless the game is tied, your away team is going to get that extra inning, that extra 3 outs to make another run. So I really like betting away run lines. I don't really like betting home run lines as much, but you can also look at the line. If it doesn't match up, if they're away and that run line isn't juicier, and I'll bring some examples as the season goes on, then that's when it's a sign to stay away from it because the numbers don't add up and they don't think they're going to win by multiple runs.
So let me ask you a question. Knowing both of that plus and minus, do you like to take the +1.5 runs mainly, or do you like to lay the 1.5 runs? I mean, it's kind of down the middle.
If you remember the end of last baseball season, I was laying a lot of -1.5. So early on,
So you're using big favorites and giving
exactly.
away. Right.
Early on, I'll like to lean a little bit more on the plus side, but as the season gets later, the favorite margins, the money line margins get big. I mean, a team that would be maybe -160 now,
Right.
that same matchup in August might
Could be
be
200.
-220 even.
Right.
And I'm not, I'll lay 160. I'm not going to lay 220. So if there's a 220, I'm going to play it on the
And
minus
that plays
1.5.
into your role. Remember, you say you're not laying big favorites with the money line, but you may want to lay it on the run line if you really feel that they're much more outstanding
You
play.
got a hot team, and this also.
Or you could do -1 run, right?
I was just gonna. Well, -1 is tough to find.
You can't find it?
I don't know if regulated books. There are some outside places that do have -1,
Mm-hmm.
but also another way to roll: first 5 innings, -0.5 run.
I love those.
I love
Really?
those.
Love
You
'em.
get a
I
team that
think
come
that's
out of
tough,
the gate
man.
3-4-0. Not necessarily. If you have a team that's just
Yeah,
putting
but you're
up
hoping
early,
they come out early.
that's where you got to find a weak pitcher that you think is going to get shelled early. You lock in that half run. By the 5th inning, you're a winner, and you could go out for dinner. You don't have to wait for the rest of the game.
That's true.
or if you have
Call
a
it a night.
team,
Call it a night.
Especially if you're in Vegas. You could
You're
be out
in
to dinner at
Vegas
6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock, getting the buffet
Call it a
special.
night.
if you have a team that's an underdog but has a good pitcher on the mound,
Yep.
you can bet the +1.5, expecting that game to be tied after 5 innings. You got a really good pitcher. You're thinking, okay, this is going to be a 1-1 game or a 0-0 game or a 2-2 game. after 5 innings. So if you play that plus a half a run and the game is tied after 5 innings, you win your bet.
I mean, you could bet individual innings in baseball.
You could bet
it's
individual innings.
bet a
You
lot
could
of
bet
things.
first 3 innings. You can bet whether or not they're going to score a run in the first inning.
Right.
So there's
That's
lot
an
of-
interesting play at times.
I know someone that is addicted to those plays,
Yeah.
loves them because it's quick.
No score first inning or score first inning.
That's degeneracy, I hate to say, unless you have some real good strategy. You
Well, no,
start
it's
doing that.
it's like doing your homework. If you see like certain pitcher hasn't been on his A
Right.
game, and you could get a good lineup against them, they could score against them.
Yeah.
And if, correct me if I'm wrong, live betting, can you bet actual who's going to get a hit, the next hit, and all that in a baseball game?
I don't really do much with live betting,
that's-
so I'm not sure.
Now you're really going for it.
No, I believe that's like these micro betting shops
Yeah,
are
I'm sure they
setting up
do.
where I believe you can bet the next hit. Is it
Yeah.
going to be a hit or not?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, it's like in basketball. If they get on the foul line, they're gonna make the next
I mean,
shot.
you could just be sitting somewhere all night and just totally.
I think it's see that's kind of what I advise against. That's kind of like what that 60-minute special was talking
Yeah.
about. Just guys on their phone 8 hours a day betting everything they possibly can. That's where I think things get a little out of control. So I would say pick a couple bets for your night and stick with them. Don't be on your phone all night.
Yeah, we tell you, don't chase it, guys. Bet with your head, not over your head. Bet smart. Manage your bankroll. These are all key ingredients to being successful. If we, with our expertise, could teach you anything, it's being smart about betting. If you're a loose cannon, you're going to be out of this business faster than you even came in it. Trust me. You're not going to last long.
And the funny thing is, let's say a guy's betting $100 a night. I was reading an article. These sports books, they don't want that guy betting that 100 on one game a night. They
No.
want him betting 20 games
They want
for
action.
$5.
Right.
So
Because they know they got a bigger shot at beating them.
what I always say, that the simplest way to look at sports betting, take away us, take away our information. One of the easiest things you could do, in my opinion, is whatever the sports books are advertising, whatever they're promoting, whatever their content creators are doing, just do the opposite. So if they're talking about parlays and 20 games a day, don't bet parlays and bet 1 game a day.
Guys, let me ask you to change the topic a little bit. Have you guys been following the women's basketball at all? What's going on with the South Carolina 36-0?
I know what's going on. I have not been following it, but it's definitely
amazing, I'll
It's
tell you.
definitely going to be the next leg up in this industry.
This Caitlin Clark,
I'll tell you something
superstar.
about women's college basketball.
Oh boy, I'm scared. Hold on,
It's not entertaining.
it's not in it.
But
They got some good shooters, man.
Yeah.
I turned on Caitlin Clark when I was in the Keys last
Was
week.
she awesome or what?
She is entertaining. She is on another level. I mean, I think that you can put her in the NBA three-point contest and she wouldn't come in last.
No,
Obviously,
she just ran against Steph Curry.
She doesn't have, a lot. There's people out there, crazy people, saying she could play men's, but no, it's not going to happen.
She's
but,
unbelievable.
But she is going to go down in history as the best women's basketball player. She is
Especially
so
if they win the title.
much fun to watch. So, but before last week, I was in the Keys and I watched a game at the hotel bar, and I couldn't get up.
Yeah.
My wife was calling me, when are you coming back to the room? I said, because they didn't have the game in the room, but they had it at the bar. I didn't leave until the end of that game.
Is she going to play in the WNBA?
Oh, she's the first
Yeah,
pick.
she's going in. She's
First
going to be
pick.
the first overall
That's
pick.
going to be
Oh, yeah.
big for that league.
Her NIL money is, I think, $1.7 million.
Indiana has first pick in the WNBA, and they're talking about ticket sales going.
Her
crazy.
NIL money is more than some entire WNBA starting five
It's going to
salaries.
be big for the WNBA.
Well, you can look what's left in this tournament. I mean, what another amazing job is. I don't know if you followed it, but what Gino Arrieta's done with Connecticut, they lost 5 starters in their lineup throughout the year. 5 starting players. They're in the final
Yeah,
4.
he's the greatest women's basketball
Paige
coach of all time.
Beckers, she's phenomenal. I mean, if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers is an unbelievable player. She was out with an ACL all last year. She's back this year, and she's carrying this team. UConn's in the Final Four for women. You got South Carolina 36-0. Think about it. They haven't dropped a game all year. They're in the Final Four. And NC State, who's in the Final Four for men's and women's. So, you got some, and obviously Iowa.
Yeah.
So
It's entertaining. It's good stuff.
And more people, I don't know if you were here when I said this, I don't think you were here yet. More people watch the game between LSU and Iowa than any game ever in, I think, college basketball, women's basketball.
Yeah,
That's
and
the other
more
night.
people watched. There was only one regular season college football game. I think it was Ohio State versus Michigan that got more viewers than that Iowa LSU game. So that Iowa LSU game got more viewers than any regular season college football game besides one.
Crazy.
So she's definitely helping the game. It's good for the game.
No, it's cool. It's cool, and it's given the bettors more options as well. And I think we talked about it. A lot of female bettors coming into the game
Every day.
So I think that's what's increasing the popularity of the women's game
100%.
as well. And guys are jumping
I
on it.
would like to see some more. Like, why is she so much better than anyone that there's ever been? I mean, she's so good.
You see this girl? You give her 1 inch. I mean, she just backs up. She does that, move. You give her that 1 inch, and she can just nail it from anywhere on the court.
I'd like to see.
Anywhere.
I'd like to see more Caitlin Clarks to make it more entertaining.
She's the Steph Curry of the female game, no doubt.
She is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Anything you want to add?
No, I mean,
No, come on. You're going to Vegas. You should be jacked up here.
I am jacked.
Are you going to bet the games this week? Is that what you're doing?
What do you think I'm going there for?
All
My
right.
good looks?
I'm just asking. You might be going out there.
No, I wanted to throw out a couple of selections here, if I may. Yeah, I mean, as far as the Connecticut game, I mean, I got burnt going against Connecticut twice already in the tournaments. I think they're going to have their way over Alabama. I mean, it's a big number. If I had to, I would lay the number with UConn, but this is what I'm going to be doing here. The team total for UConn, I think, is about 86.5. They're going over 90 points on that game. That's my bet for that game, over team total. UConn, I would lay what is it, 11
Well, we both know these teams can both score. I
Right.
mean, Alabama's a sharp shooting team too that can score, and they allow a lot of points too. So you might have something there.
I like the team total. As far as NC State, they're 9-0 straight up the last 9, 7-2 against the spread. 6 of those winning games were as underdogs. I'm going to take the points with NC State here to hang in there.
That's a ballsy one.
Well, listen.
Edney, 40 point. What do you have? 40 and 16 rebounds the other day.
He's a beast.
Crushed it.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's going to be the number 1 pick, I think. Right?
Um,
I got to think he's got to go right up there.
It's possible.
He's gonna come
he
up-
stayed.
he's
This is
coming
his
up.
5th year, I think.
Yeah, he's
he
coming up.
stayed last year's. Well, probably partially because they lost so early, but also because he wanted to get up a little bit there.
Yeah, he's got to
in
be.
his draft stock. Probably get above Wemby, who's doing very well right now.
He is.
He's looking like the
Amazing.
rookie of the year right now. He's
He's
living up to all the hype.
He's a lock.
Yeah, there hasn't been that much hype around a new player,
And he's
especially
shooting
a
the 3
center.
too. He
And
can
now-
shoot the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the team total pick for UConn. I mean, UConn.
What is the real number on that?
The
on
te-
that, on that, not the team total, but the total on that game.
The total on the game is
It's got to
sitting
be up there high, I'm sure.
at
170.
Why don't I see it here? It's not.
What'd
out
you say
yet.
you had it at?
Well, I had team total. It
Oh,
was-
okay. Yeah, the total on that
Total
game's
is
gotta-
161.5. Kind of low.
Yeah.
Kind of low.
Well, UConn can shut you down. You saw what they did. You see that spur they went out the other day? Go on a 30-0 run, just like that. The game was tied.
I had my Final Four got decimated. Besides Purdue winning it all, I got to ride Purdue.
Yeah, you
to
got no
win.
shot.
Got to ride Purdue, but I do think. I mean, the public is all over NC State, all over.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So
To
I think that they're
with the points. You mean with the
with
points?
the spread. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
9.5 right
Yeah,
now.
public's all over NC State. My big thing last week was both favorites. I got to roll with both favorites again. I mean, these teams are just so good. But one game that I like is actually tomorrow, this NIT final.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I like Indiana State to beat and cover against
They're
Seton
going for
Hall.
their best record ever since Larry Bird, 33 wins. in
Best
the
record
season.
ever. I think
Well, to tie the best record ever.
they're a little bit. I mean, both teams
They can shoot.
Both teams were snubs.
Yeah.
Like snubbed from the tournament, but I think Indiana State is a little more upset about it. They are not only can they shoot, they are the number 1 shooting team in the country.
Oh, yeah.
And what I really like about them,
Scored 100 last night.
what I really like about them covering, we talk about numbers, covering that 3, 4, 5-point spread. They shoot, they get to the line, and they make their free throws.
Right. Yeah, I was going to mention that too. They're tough on the foul line, which is big because a lot of these games recently took teams out. Like Clemson got taken out because they shot terrible on the line. They missed like 50% of their foul shots the other night, and that was probably the difference from them moving on in that game. And, you find these teams that not only can shoot threes, not only can, make foul shots. It's a big edge, especially on points.
Watched a lot of college basketball.
What's the spread
this
on
year.
that game, by the way?
3.5.
State?
Indiana State favored by 3.5.
Okay.
I watched a lot of college basketball this year, and one thing that really upsets me is just the foul shooting overall for
terrible.
some of these
Some of these
teams
teams.
is really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
And, that's the one thing that doesn't take size. It doesn't take strength to shoot fouls. It just tells me that these kids aren't practicing their free throws. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Or it could be nerves, too. You never know.
Maybe I'm wrong, but, I mean, and how about Iowa has a better free throw percentage than more than half of these men's teams.
Yeah. Like I said,
It's more being concentrated than anything, I think, when you're at the foul line. It's really
It's very mental. Yeah, it's very
it,
mental.
It is mental versus you're on a flow of a game. It's more adrenaline, I think. This is you're actually just focusing at the hoop. And, yeah, definitely.
What do you going back to the women's for a minute? What do you think the championship matchup's going to be when all's said and done? There's 4 teams left. Do you think it's going to be Iowa against South Carolina? South Carolina going for the perfect season against Caitlin Clark.
Who does Iowa play in the Final Four?
Well, there's 4 teams left. It's Iowa, I think.
Iowa plays NC State.
And there's UConn.
Yeah, so Iowa
and
plays
South
NC
Carolina.
State, and UConn plays South Carolina.
UConn's tough, man.
That's what I'm going to say. Gino Auriemma, I never count him out.
36-0 though. Don Staley, she's got that team.
He had, yeah. I mean, his team. He doesn't have the best team he's ever had, but
Yeah.
I never count him out. But
I think it's going to be Iowa.
I think Iowa wins it all. Just, I mean, I don't have the knowledge and expertise. That it's not like I've watched a ton of games or analyzed a lot of women's college hoops. But just watching the last couple games, they're dominant. And LSU's not a bad team that they knocked off, and they knocked them off pretty handily.
Yeah.
I mean, it was close for a little bit, but they handled them pretty well.
All right, I'm gonna go with South Carolina to win it all. As far as the men's games, I'm just staying with my plays. I don't know about these 2 games with these big numbers, but I think it's going to be all about Connecticut and Purdue in the final game. And when all's said and done, I got to ride with my pick, which was Connecticut to win it all. So that's where I stand there.
Yeah, I want to see what the numbers do. I think both of these teams win. I mean, without a doubt, they win. It's just a matter of, like you said, how much they win by.
Right.
I don't love teasers in basketball in general, but it might be something worth looking at. I got to kind of see where the numbers go. One thing that's interesting is the number opened up for Purdue at -10. It's down to 8.5 now, but I think a lot of that has to do with the public is just pounding NC State.
What do you think if these 2 teams make it? We're all assuming. UConn would be the favorite. What do you think the line would be? UConn.
Oh, I think
Purdue?
2 or 3?
No, more than that.
Really?
Against Purdue? No, they're going to be no one's going to be under 4.5, 5 against
Wow.
UConn.
They
Definitely.
command.
Maybe more.
They command a lot of respect.
If it's
with
NC State, it's going to be
Well,
double digits.
that's a different
No,
story. NC
Right.
State, it's going to be 15.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I don't know about 15, but yeah, at least 12, 13 points. But UConn's, I think, at a different level. I mean, Danny Hurley's got this program so good right now. He's probably the best coach in college basketball. Got to be over the last few years at least, and he's got the #1 program, and they're just finding ways to win. I mean, nobody's turning on the gas like Connecticut is. I mean, they go on a 30-point run and just blow. They could just blow you out. A game could be tight, and all of a sudden they're up by 20. That's how quick. I don't see any other teams doing that in college basketball other than UConn.
Yeah, at this level, scoring is important. Defense matters, but when you can score like that, there's no defense good enough to stop it.
Well, before we call it a day, and it's been a great day, and we appreciate Ben and Christian doing their thing here for us over here at the studio. Always a pleasure to be here at the podcast studio each and every week doing this great show. Anything you want to add?
Well, I'm going to be in Vegas, guys, late Thursday night, so you'll be seeing my mug right
Should
through.
they have welcome signs at the
Well,
airport? What do
yeah,
you want us to
yeah.
do? Ben, you want to go to Vegas Thursday night with the big Kahuna?
I'll be out there Thursday through Sunday, and
on,
but
Ben.
I'm just looking.
I'll be his paparazzi.
That's
yeah,
it.
paparazzi.
So you'll hold the pen for the autographs.
I'll hold the pen.
Right.
I'll bring the notebook.
There you go.
I hope it's a lot of women asking for the autograph, not guys.
Well,
Go ahead, Doc.
We're here to do business, not monkey business,
There you go.
right?
Hey, monkey business is good too, as long as it's business.
Monkey business could be good, but yeah, let's I'm going to be putting pics out the whole weekend. My Instagram channel, we just hit 19,000 followers. So I want to give everyone a shout out. Thank you for the support. OSB_sports. YouTube, I put pics up every day. OSB-sports. And the website, you want to check numbers this weekend. I have that odds feed, onlinesportsbet.com.
All right, you heard it. Mr. Las Vegas, the big kahuna, running the show at the OSB. That's him. And check out his plays each and every day. Let's go to Red Hot, Teddy Brooks.
While you're in Las Vegas, I'm gonna be I'm gonna find a beach to go to. Maybe Fort Lauderdale. Maybe
Maybe we can go to Sao
maybe-
Paulo with
maybe West
Steve.
Palm.
We'll go to Sao Paulo and hang out with Steve down there.
Brazil. You got to be careful in Brazil, though.
Do you?
Yeah. Well.
Oh, he looks like
probably,
a big guy. He might be able to
Yeah,
help us out.
give us a few pillows and we'll be able to take care of ourselves, right? But I'm going to tell you where you can find me, but I'm going to tell the podcast junkie guys where they can find me because they keep tagging my backup account. It's _profits_pick. So podcast junkie guys, when you tag me in a video, tag that account, not the other one. So that's my Instagram. The YouTube is youtube.com/@thesportsprofits. We just hit 14,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
And 34,000 on Instagram.
That's
Nice.
impressive. Those are impressive numbers there, Teddy.
We try.
He's working hard, man. He's a hard worker. Why not?
And then I don't really.
OSB's coming your way, man. So we'll be there.
OSB's
It's a race. It's a race to the finish. But the
Yeah.
beautiful thing is, and what people don't understand about our business is these YouTubers, they make these videos that are evergreen. I mean, people still watch videos from years ago for guys like Jake Paul and stuff. For our videos, once the games are over that we're talking about, no one's really clicking those videos and watching them. So for guys like us in our field, it's even harder
Short
to
lifespan.
gain traction and to gain followers on social media. So we really appreciate you guys. Stick with it. Keep watching our stuff and enjoy.
All right, you heard it there. You heard it from the one and only Teddy Brooks. All right, guys, I'm Scott Matthews. I host this great show, like I said, each and every week. It's the OSB Sports Podcast Show. And you could check me out. I am on Instagram, SM Sports Picks, Picks, and on TikTok, SM Picks, Picks. We're going to be back here, no doubt about it, next week with another huge show. But more importantly, guys, check the show out. It's everywhere. I'm talking Spotify. I'm talking Apple. I'm talking YouTube. Wherever podcast shows are, we are. Have a great day today. I want to thank Steve Williams from the PFC, obviously, the Pillow Fighting Championship, for coming on the show. And I think Teddy has to say something.
Yeah. Is it confirmed that we have our boy coming on next week for the Masters?
Masters,
Barry
Goldstein. We're going to be breaking down predictions for Masters. Thanks for bringing that
So
up,
yeah,
Teddy.
Barry Goldstein, who was on our show before, he is the pro at a golf course here in South Florida, where it's only like 200 or 300 members, but you're talking big names. So he's the pro at one of the most exclusive golf courses in South Florida. He's going to be coming on and helping us with some Masters picks, and I love golf, so I cannot wait. I'm very excited about that.
All right, sounds great. Masters is on the weekend of the 13th. All right, guys, listen, thanks again. We'll be back here next week. Check the show out on all podcast forums. Have a great day.